my father's funeral, my stepmother asked me to read his final letter. When I got to the third sentence, she tried to stop me. I sat in the back row watching Valerie dab her eyes with a tissue I hadn't seen my dad since 3 years ago when I walked out of his kitchen because he chose her over me. I was his whole world until mom died, and Valerie showed up at the funeral with a casseroles. 6 months later, she moved into mom's house, and I became a ghost. At my college graduation, I searched the crowd for him. Empty seat. He texted, "Sorry, sweetie, had to take Valerie's daughter to her thing." When I got engaged and asked for help with the wedding, he said money was tight. Valerie's son needs a car for job interviews. Sorry. He hung up on me. Last year, dad got sick, and I drove 6 hours to see him, but Valerie stopped me at the door. He's resting and doesn't want visitors. I'm his daughter. She smiled so sweetly. You'll just stress him out. She closed the door in my face. I found out later that he had asked for me every day that week, but she never told him I came. When the pastor finished talking about dad's devotion to his family, Valerie stood and walked to the microphone wearing a black dress that probably cost more than my rent. My wonderful husband left us one final letter expressing his deepest love. She pulled out an envelope. He wanted his oldest child to read it as a symbol of forgiveness and family unity. She looked at me with tears streaming down her face, and the entire room turned to stare at me. An old woman whispered, "That's the one who abandoned him when he got sick." I walked to the front. Valerie handed me the envelope and pulled me into a hug. "Thank you, sweetheart. Your father loved you so much," she whispered in my ear. "Make it good. People are watching." I opened the letter. "To my family and friends gathered here today, thank you for celebrating my life. I need to tell you the truth about my marriage to Valerie." Her face went white and she lunged for the letter. Wait, maybe I should read it instead. I stepped back and kept reading louder. "Valerie has been having an affair for 2 years with my business partner Greg." The room went dead silent. Valerie's daughter stood up fast. "Mom, what is she talking about?" Valerie shook her head violently. "It's fake. She must have written this herself." I kept reading. "I hired a private investigator. I have hotel receipts, text messages where she calls me a dying old fool, and photographs of them together." A man in the 4th row started sweating as his wife stared at him in horror. "I changed my will 4 weeks ago. Valerie and her children get absolutely nothing. Every single asset goes to my oldest child." Valerie screamed, "No!" and tried to grab the microphone, but the pastor held her back. I kept going. "Valerie told me 3 years ago that my oldest child was poisonous to this family and gave me an ultimatum. She made me choose between my blood daughter and my new family." Valerie's son backed away from his mother. "You said she wanted nothing to do with him. She threw away every letter my child sent and deleted voicemails before I could hear them. When I got sick last year and begged to see my daughter, Valerie turned her away at the door and told me she never came." Valerie's daughter started crying as I kept reading. "To my oldest, I'm sorry I was too weak to see what was happening. The house, the savings, my business, the life insurance, and my investments are all yours. Everything totals about $1.2 million. Valerie made a choking sound. "And to my business partner Greg, who's probably pretending to mourn me, you're fired." The man stood up and his wife slapped him so hard the sound echoed. "You bastard!" Valerie was screaming. "This is fake! All of it! That money is mine!" Valerie pointed at me shaking. "You planned this! You poisoned him against me! I didn't see him for 3 years because of you," I said. She lunged at me and someone grabbed her. Half the room was yelling. Greg's wife threw her purse at him. Valerie broke free and got in my face. "That house is mine! I earned it by taking care of that miserable old man." "Earned it?" Her son looked sick. "Oh my god, Mom! You were just waiting for him to die." As I left, Valerie was screaming that she'd contest the will. Valerie hired a lawyer to contest the will, claiming that dad wasn't mentally competent when he changed it. The judge took one look at his medical records and threw the case out.